also the 10th month and the 7th day, which it turns out, we use a lunar calendar, but it's one of our own devising that's just used within our prologue component. So it doesn't really go to the extent of being a human calendar per se, but nonetheless, turns out that October 8th is Yom Kippur. And a curious note is that Yom Kippur, of course, is built on a lunar calendar and was the day in which we had the crash in 29 and also in 87. Okay, so this echo, if you will, linguistically that we've picked up shows that we're going to shift into release language. Now, let me explain that we have basic two very broad categories of language based on how the human body reacts to a broad range of emotions. We call this building tension language or release language. And it can be easily visualized by imagining that you're attending some kind of mass person event, either, play, a movie, or whatever, a giant truck show, it doesn't matter. Someone comes on out. Everybody's kind of anxious because some kind of feat of daring do is going to be performed and no one knows how it's going to come out. Your body has a tendency to tighten up a bit. Your muscles tighten up. Your abdomen tightens up. Your breathing gets short and shallow. Those are all building tension kind of responses. Then something happens unexpectedly. Everybody suddenly, a mouse runs across a woman's foot. She screams, and the woman next to her doesn't know what's going on, but she decides she's going to scream too, and the next thing you know, you're jumped up on your seat, and you don't know why, but you're screaming as well. And it just doesn't matter about gender. The issue is at that point you're experiencing release language. Everything goes loose. Your body is a little bit far less tense. There's a sort of a rushing of the blood. You may not even be able to hear yourself or anything around you because of the pounding in your ears. This kind of thing are all release emotions. Now, those are dramatic examples of them, and they have various different grades. But our research seems to indicate that on October 7th, at some early time UTC, something's going to occur that's going to shift pretty much the whole planetary body over into release language out of what is currently a long-term building emotional trend line. Mm-hmm. You've seen our charts, and you see that it goes back 11, 12, 13 months.
Yeah.
And
this is in the landscape for a long time. Yeah.
Long time now, yeah. We've known about this for, I want to say, probably at least a year. At least a year. We're connecting at this point 30 to 45% of it. The numbers are kind of really immaterial. But a big chunk of it is going to be economically motivated or fiscal or financial. So it could be, as George likes to say, the mother of all crashes. Mm-hmm. The end of the Kondratev wave, the crack-up boom, whatever. And it would not be surprising.
So somebody finally tells the dead man who's walking around that he's dead and he needs to lie down.
Exactly so. And they do it at a precise time, and thereafter everybody is running around for the next 5 months with the same level of dysfunction.
5 months dysfunction. That's a long haul.
That's the shocking part about it. Not that we're going to shift into release language, because it happens all the time. It's usually kind of a stair-step up, stair-step down kind of thing in broad, general, sweeping patterns.
This is a big
one.
But
occasionally you get these sharp turns. And this turn is unusual because there's no let-up for about almost 5 months.
All right. As bad as things have been, what could it be that is so powerful?
It could be the absolute death of the dollar. Could be the absolute seizure in the sense of lockup of the global banking system and the shutdown of global transport, including oil and all other goods, because of the crack-up.
Until and unless they come up with the new financial paradigm they want to use for international global currency.
It doesn't matter. That's the issue. Even if that was the case, even if the MRO and all of the other paradigms are in place to suck yet more power into central authority,
it ain't going to happen.
The discontinuity still exists and will have to be lived through.
Most interesting.
Now, can they put it in place in 5 months? A valid attempt might say that is the case, but I will also say that it appears that in early 2009, the deterministic path that the controllers, let's just use a broad term there, or the invisible hand, it runs into its inevitable deterministic limit and faces reality.
Well, so
it's not foreordained that the New World Order and all of this sort of thing will, in fact, come into play play the way the absolute, or the way that it's structured. Many a slip between the cup and the lip, and they're about to see that, the determinism can only take them so far.
Right. All right, let's pause. We'll come back with Clif and explore this a little bit further. So the ramifications of this October 7th or thereabout release date, when the anticipatory, emotional, stressful language changes into release language. Oh my God, this has happened. Now we've got to deal with it.
Yeah.
Is October 7th or thereabout. We'll find out if there are any other language sets that are coming into play, such as war, or does it appear to be, as Clif said, primarily financial? Next. Okay, welcome back. Let's get back to our conversation here with Clif High of halfpasthuman.com. If you're at all interested in this, and I hope you are, do subscribe. I guess George does put his speculative slices out there for those who are interested in rolling the dice.
He has that on his site on several different areas, and his subscription is $40 per annual, and he puts out a weekly sum up, if you will, and projections based on what we're doing here at Half Past Human, correct?
Mm-hmm. Speak right into the phone, if you would, sir. We're getting a little bit of fuzz there.
Oh, sorry about that.
There, see?
Yeah, much better, I'm sure.
You can't lay down
George,
when you do this. You have to sit up, you see.
Yeah, exactly. It's late for me, though. I'm one of those people that stayed around 7:30, and I'm up at 4 in the morning kind of deal. Work long hours on the data. It's rather tedious to sit
no,
through
you
it.
do it. I don't know how you do it all, but you do. It's really it's an amazing, a prodigious work you do. And all right, so let's go back to October 7th. This has again been on the Half Past Human landscape for well over a year now. We've got a time of approximately Pacific between 1 and 2-ish. We've got a 4 to 5 month reverberation ramification aftershock modality, which shows in the expressions that you're picking up, and most of it is financial in nature. Is any of it military?
Well, it's actually split into 3 large categories, which we can think of as economic, the other is military, and the other is terra intrusions. Those are in the form of earthquakes.
Terra, not terror, folks. Terra.
Correct. Terra the planet, rather than terror the act.
Got
it. So earth changes, if you will, getting shaken up, this kind of thing in early December.
All right.
They keep the language going, basically, but the language has already been moved by.
Did you say December? I'm sorry, Clif. You said in early December?
We have some indications for a largish earthquake in 10, 11, or 12 of December time frame.
Okay, so we have October financial. I'm going to get this up. We got October financial. We got November, December, a Terra event, perhaps, which the
then we also have early winter flooding and exceptionally strange climate to contend with. All of this contributes to the continued 5 months of everybody running around not knowing what to do, releasing language right and left. I mean, I don't mean to laugh about it, but we've been living with it for a year. And
is the release language really emotionally chaotic? I mean, is it really intense release language, or is it just a slow, steady drumbeat of release?
No, it's not a slow, steady drumbeat. It's more like it's not a plunge off of a cliff, but it says, let me give you a really good analogy here. We're all standing on top of a sand dune, and it's a fairly precipitous sand dune, but it's right at the edge of what's called slope stability before it starts cascading down. We start walking down it, and pretty soon you discover you can't walk. You've got to start accelerating a little bit to stay ahead of the sand that's getting into your shoes, such that by the time you get down even halfway, you're running full tilt just to stay upright. That's the kind of thing we're looking at.
And then you lose your cadence and you fall.
Correct.
And you roll.
Or you don't. Maybe you are able to keep it up. We just don't know, but it's going to last about 5 months.
Wow.
At that pace.
All right.
And that pace gets rather abruptly rapid. This is why we think of it as in terms of an event, but it might be a series of events.
Uh-huh.
postulates around here we keep kicking around because we know the broad parameters of it, but our details are less than revealing.
Do we
do
see?
Know that
Go ahead, please. Sorry.
that there is a military component involved in this
Right.
in the October-November time frame, but we're not sure that it's actually the precipitating or what we call the proximate cause for the October 7th. So what we're envisioning is something along the following scenario, where the powers that be are able to maintain the markets and things in general for the next 2 months with a slightly more buoyant mood. They're able to fend off and take extraordinary efforts to keep things working.
Before the election.
Correct. That's the intent anyway, or at least through the summer. And then things crack up rather suddenly at the end of September such